David, what the fuck is this? 3 years ago, we were promised 8 videos a day. Yes, I know, but videos was a bit vaguely defined, and the 8 videos a day thing was a bit of a lie anyway, to be honest. I demand videos now! Videos mean videos! Okay, well look, I've got A-levels, but I'll do you one video. Would you like the David Frankal Show? No. Okay. Train news? No. How about train spotting? No. Documentary? No. Mini-doc? No. Okay, well listen, you demand videos, but every time I suggest a video, you say no. What you're asking for is impossible. Ugh, traitor. Hello and welcome to the David Frankal Show. It's been 5 years since the last episode, or at least it's felt like 5 years with the amount of political what-the-fuckery that has happened in the UK since the last episode. So let's open with my favourite subject to talk about, Brexit. So I'm going to do my best to summarise what has happened in the last 5.5 months in British politics. So if you'd like to skip this bit, I recommend skipping to about 3.5 hours into the video. So in November 2018, Theresa May and the EU finally agreed on a withdrawal agreement which would see the UK leave the European Union on the 29th of March 2019, with a 2-year transition period during which time our trading relationship with the rest of the EU would be negotiated, with a backstop in place just in case talks fail, in order to avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland. The original backstop proposal just covered Northern Ireland, however at Theresa May's request it was extended to cover the entire of the UK. This being in order not to piss off the DUP, on whom Theresa May relies for support in Parliament. The deal was put to Parliament on the 15th of January, where it was rejected by 230 votes, the biggest defeat of a sitting government in the House of Commons ever.
The ayes to the right, 202. The noes to the left, 432.
To the right, 202. The noes, order! The ayes to the right, 202. The noes to the left, 432. So the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlock!
Theresa May vowed to go back to Brussels to renegotiate the backstop, which was the issue that many parliamentarians had with the deal, but failed to secure any actual changes. A series of votes was then held in Parliament in mid-March, at which point the deal was rejected again, this time by a margin of 149 votes, and no-deal Brexit was also ruled out, with the latter seeing a truly spectacular night where the government proposed a motion, promised a free vote on that motion, then opposed an amendment to that motion which changed the wording, but the amendment passed anyway. The government then opposed that amended motion, but the amended motion was passed anyway, essentially meaning the government was defeated by itself. A vote was then held on extending Article 50, either by a short extension if Theresa May's deal was passed the following week, or by a longer extension. The following week, a third vote on the deal was blocked by the Speaker, but Theresa May broke her promise and asked for a short extension anyway, mainly because she desperately wanted to avoid participating in the European elections in May. She wanted an extension until the 30th of June, but ended up getting an extension until the 22nd of May if her deal was passed. If not, then the deadline was set at the 12th of April, at which point the UK would either leave with no deal or would have to ask for a further extension. After bypassing the Speaker's ruling with some parliamentary wizardry, a third vote on the deal was finally held on the 29th of March, the original exit date, and it was again rejected, although this time only by 58 votes, a significantly narrower margin, mainly because Brexiteers who'd previously voted against a deal now voted for it out of the fear of the alternative being no Brexit at all. Interesting how some people are allowed to change their minds. Then, with just 48 hours to go until the second exit date on the 10th of April, Theresa May went to Brussels and got another extension, this time till the 31st of October 2019, although that can be terminated early if her deal is passed, which it won't be. Theresa May's new plan is to form some sort of agreement with Jeremy Corbyn, although she's actually unwilling to change any of her policies on Brexit, so I'm not exactly seeing how that's going to work out. Parliament, meanwhile, held a series of indicative votes on a wide range of different possible Brexit options, all of which were roundly rejected. There was a fantastic moment when there was a vote on whether or not to hold a third day of indicative voting, where this happened.
The ayes to the right, 310. The noes to the left, 310.
Parliament was tied, which means the Speaker stepped in and voted no. Meanwhile, a breakaway group of Tory and Labour MPs formed a new political party called Change UK, the Independent Group, with prominent members including Chuka Umunna, Heidi Allen and Anna Soubry. Whilst I was very excited initially to see a new Remainer party forming, I am also slightly concerned that Change UK are doing a pretty bad job of getting their message across. Their name is terrible, their logo is forgettable, and their platform is really quite confusing. They're also showing quite a lot of unwillingness to work with other Remainer parties such as the Lib Dems and the Greens. On the other end of the political spectrum, meanwhile, Nigel Farage's new Brexit party is doing a far better job in rallying support. Its message and platform are clear, its name and logo are instantly recognisable, and it is set to do very well in the upcoming European elections, which we're now taking part in. Labour is also set to do well, while the Conservatives are set to absolutely nosedive. Hey listen, if one good thing comes out of all this, it's the death of the Tory party. So that's pretty much where we are now. What happens next? Well, it doesn't look like Theresa May's deal or any form of it will be approved by Parliament anytime soon. There could be a general election, although I suspect Theresa May, knowing how unpopular her party is, will try to avoid that at all costs. So I reckon on the 28th of October, Theresa May will be right back in Brussels asking for another extension, and this whole stalemate will continue. Now, on the date where this was originally supposed to be uploaded, the 28th of April 2019, the 28th of October was exactly 6 months away, and that got me thinking, oh yes, it's time for yet another game of Place Your Bets, the game where I ask questions about what the world will be like in 6 months' time. Everybody has £10,000. They guess their answer to their question, as well as a certain amount of imaginary money on each guess. And in 6 months' time, we find out who won. But before I introduce this new game of Place Your Bets, we have to find out the results of the previous game, which was, incidentally, just over 6 months ago. So let's meet our previous contestants. I'm David Frankal.
I am Duncan, also known as the YouTuber who's friends with David that never uploads.
It's me, Hadassah, again. I've only been on this channel once, but last time I played this game, I wrecked you all, so...
Hi, my name is Nathan, and no, you haven't fallen through a wormhole into the past. My camera quality is awful, and for that I apologise.
I'm Matthew.
Hello, I'm Baron, and I'm David's dad.
Question 1. In 6 months' time, who will be the Prime Minister of the UK? I'm going to go with Sajid Javid, and for that I'm going to place £2,000.
So, the Prime Minister. Think it's Theresa May, the one who dances? I'll bet 2,000 on that.
So for the first question, I think Theresa's still going to be in office because she'll find whatever loophole she wants to stay in office, and I vote £8,000 on that.
Question 1. I'm placing £3,000 of this imaginary currency on Theresa May.
And I'm betting £2,500 on Boris Johnson being Prime Minister.
Boris Johnson. £1.
You've got £10,000 in total to spend.
Okay, I don't think it'll be Boris Johnson. I think it'll be Sajid Javid for £2,000.
So the pot for question 1 was a massive £19,500. Despite a 1922 committee vote of no confidence, a parliamentary vote of no confidence, and several crushing defeats on her flagship policy, Theresa May is somehow still Prime Minister, so that money goes to Duncan, Hadassah and Nathan. It is also notable that looking back I realised that Duncan had completely misunderstood the point of the game and was just guessing what the answer was now, so he kind of got that one right by accident. Question 2. What is President Trump's latest tweet about? I'm going to guess that it's going to be something to do with the Russia investigation, which still won't be finished. And on that I'm going to place £3,000.
Trump's latest tweet. Ooh, now I keep up to date with his things, but not too up to date. I'm not always looking at his Twitter account. It's either his rally in Kentucky that he just did, or it could be about this book, this new book getting to #1 that he's always talking about. Not his book, some other book. I'll go for this Kentucky rally, yeah, and I'll place 1,000 on it.
I think Trump's latest tweet will probably be apologising for Kavanaugh and apologising for the new evidence that's come to light that shows that he's actually like a huge serial killer or something. And I vote £1,000 on that.
Question 2, I'm going to place £2,000, and my guess is something racist.
Donald Trump will have recently tweeted about Kim Jong-un, saying he's an obsessed rocket man who behaved idiotically. And I'm betting £3,000.
Whether or not he's going to nuke North Korea. £1,000.
The pot was £11,000. Now, latest tweet I realise is actually a little bit difficult to define because he tweets a lot. So I've decided to be generous and include any tweet within the window of the 15th and the 21st of April. The 21st of April being the official 6 months goalpost, I believe. Despite being generally racist, the only specific guess that it was actually correct was mine, which was that he would tweet about the Russia investigation, although contrary to my prediction, it is now supposedly finished. Now, despite indictments against Paul Manafort, George Papadopoulos, Rick Gates, Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Michael Cohen, and 2 others tied to the Trump campaign, Mueller sadly failed to convict Trump himself. That being said, the report, or at least the bit of the report we've seen, does very explicitly say that it does not exonerate Trump of obstruction. However, quite predictably, all the right-wing news outlets across America proclaimed that this was a big victory for Donald Trump and that he was completely exonerated, even though he really isn't. But, you know, I'm just a bitter, whiny liberal, so what can I say? Anyway, I still think that counts, so that's £11,000 to me. Question 3. What is Kanye's latest controversy about? I'm going to guess that it's going to be a fight with someone in a fast food shop, and on that I'm going to place £1,500.
Kanye's latest controversy. Ooh! It's gonna have to be the Oval Office swearing. It's just gonna have to be him swearing in the Oval Office. It can't be anything else. I'll bet 2,000 on that.
Kanye, I think his latest controversy will be he is going to be selling Halloween stripper outfits, and all the proceeds will go to keeping young girls in education. Kanye is for £500.
Question 3, I'm also going to place £2,000 on, and my guess is something sexist.
A rapper who has not been named claimed that Kanye West copies his song. I'm betting £500.
Who's Kanye?
The total pot was £6,000. Now, sadly, even though we all had some great guesses, Kanye's actually been pretty quiet recently. The only kind of newsworthy thing I've been able to find about him is that he apparently set up a church or something. God knows. Anyway, nobody wins that pot. Question 4. What is Boris Johnson's latest controversy? And I'm going to go with a pretty safe bet that he said something racist about the French. I'm probably going to put £3,000 on that.
Boris's latest controversy. Ooh. Now that's a hard one, because he just danced somewhere. Can't remember where, but he just did a little dance, so controversy could be PMs all over dancing, including Boris. But I don't think it's that. I think they're still going on about this burqa thing with Boris, and it's still not ending anywhere. So I'm going to go for the burqa thing with Boris. I'm going to place 1,000.
Boris, I think he's going to literally turn into a bumblebee for £2.
Question 4, I'm also going to place £2,000 on, and I'm also going to say something sexist.
After recently leaving the EU, Boris Johnson has made a last-minute bid to rejoin again. I'm betting £1,000.
It's about the minimum wage. £1,000.
The total pot was £8,002. Now, unlike Kanye, Boris Johnson has actually been incredibly loud recently, and any guess out of constant attempts to become Prime Minister, virulently opposing May's deal and then voting for it, casually failing to declare that he owned a house somewhere, comparing Brexit to the Pesach story, or referring to money spent on historic sexual offences allegations as spaffing money up a wall, would have got the pot. Sadly, none of our guesses were correct, although I would like to give a special mention to Matthew's answer because it was just very funny. I was quite tempted to just give him the pot for that. Oh, and another special mention to Hadassah's boyfriend, who in a heroic attempt to win Hadassah some money, actually spent time putting together this fake news article about Boris Johnson turning into a bee. You almost had me for a second, but unfortunately it is just fake news. Question 5. Which large company or airline has just gone bankrupt? I'm going to put £1,500 on Halfords.
Now, I know Pret is quite close. Pret is that close to going kaboom. I'm going to place my remaining 4,000 on it.
And I think British Airways is going to go bankrupt because with Brexit and everything, you know, people might not leave the country and they just might not get enough customers. And I vote £498.
I'm going to place the remaining £1,000 on Ryanair because they are the only airline I can think of, and in terms of controversy, they haven't exactly kept a clean slate in the past.
I'm betting £3,000 on Ryanair declaring bankruptcy for the second time since November 2018.
I'm going to say Alitalia for £6,000. It does still exist, but it has already gone bankrupt 3 times now.
The total pot on this question was £15,998, and if you, like me, are annoyed that that is an extremely unrounded number, you can blame Hadassah. Whilst any guess out of Debenhams, House of Fraser, HMV, Patisserie Valerie, Pound World, Fly BMI, Wow Air or Jet Airways would have won the pot. Sadly, once again, it goes to nobody. So actually, I won. With Duncan, Hadassah and Nathan a close second, commiserations to Matthew and my dad who won £0 each. So with that said and done, let's introduce a brand new round of Place Your Bets, where we'll be betting what the future will be like in 6 months' time on the 28th of October 2019, 3 days before Halloween and the current Brexit deadline. As always, let's start by introducing our contestants. I'm David Frankal.
I'm Duncan Freeberg, and as you can see, I am stuck inside of your device.
Hello, folks and folkettes of the David Frankal Show. Remember me?
Hey guys, it's Tessa. I'm not feeling all too confident about this round. I had to Google too many things, but at least I now know who Chris Grayling is, so lucky me.
Hi, my name's Jacob.
Hello, I'm Baron and I'm David's dad.
I'm Bori and I'm David's mom, a desperate European citizen living in the UK, which looks like an uninhabited island for me now.
Question 1, the all-time classic, who is the Prime Minister? Now I'm quite tempted to go with Jeremy Hunt or David Lidington, but the last 2 times I've guessed someone else, it has still been Theresa May. And whilst Theresa May is quite clearly terrible at winning elections, signing deals, promoting deals and just being Prime Minister in general, the one thing she is very good at is staying Prime Minister. I should mention that in her most recent attempt to pass her deal, she promised to resign if her deal was passed, meaning essentially that she will be Prime Minister for the rest of time. Therefore, I am putting £3,000 on Theresa May.
Ooh, who's the Prime Minister? I'm going for Larry the Cat. I'll place 3,000 on that. Definitely Larry the Cat.
Prime Minister Angela Merkel. And just divide it equally between the 10, 1,000 for each one.
I'm just going to go with Theresa. It's a classic. It's what I always vote for, and I'm going to bet 2,000 on it.
The Prime Minister will be Theresa May. I'm going to stick 3,500 on that.
Who is the Prime Minister in 6 months' time? I'm going to go with Sajid Javid. I'll go for 1,000.
So end of October, at Halloween, we will be still stuck with Theresa May, I'm afraid, and I bet £1,000 on that.
Question 2. What is the latest Brexit update? As I said before, I think Theresa May, or whoever is Prime Minister, will be back in Brussels asking for an extension to Article 50 after having made no progress whatsoever. And on that, I'm putting £3,000.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'll place £1,000 on that.
What's the latest Brexit update?
For number 2, I think we're just going to get fed up with waiting and we are going to plough through Brexit. I think we're going to be like 2/3 of the way through it in 6 months' time, hopefully. And I think we're either going to be discussing delayed medical supplies that are coming into the EU, or getting updates on the Northern Ireland border, and I'm going to vote 2,000 on the Northern Ireland border.
The whole Brexit palaver. I've put on my whiteboard that there'll be a second referendum vote on the 30th of October. I don't know if it had to be exactly 6 months, but that's what I'm saying, because it's about right, innit, that we're going to decide something major like that would need a delay on the day before we're supposed to leave. So I put £1,000 on that.
That is a toughie. I'm going to say we have, by some means, pushed it back again. That's the easy answer, isn't it? 16 pence.
We will be looking into yet another delay of the Brexit process, and I bet on it yet another 1,000.
Question 3. Which British politician has just made a total arse of themselves, and how? I predict that Dominic Raab will make a reappearance and it'll be another geography-related gaffe. There is precedent for this, of course. As Brexit Secretary, it of course took him several months to realise that Dover and Calais were actually quite close together. I'm putting £500 on that.
Ooh, Jeremy Corbyn for offering food to a Jew on Yom Kippur. Yeah, that happened. It's great fun. I'll place £2,000 on that.
All of them. Brexit.
I don't really know many British politicians. I know like Theresa, Jeremy, and Boris. So I'm going to go with Corbyn saying something anti-Semitic for 500.
Which MP is going to make a fool of themselves? Diane Abbott. £1,500 on that. Pretty confident.
Got to go with Boris Johnson on that. Can't imagine what he's done. I'm going to go 2,500 on that.
First and last and always complete ass is still Boris, who again tried to take the throne. £1,000 on that.
Question 4. What is Jeremy Corbyn's latest gaffe? Given that it'll be 3 days till Halloween, I predict that Jeremy Corbyn is going to somehow mix up the festival of Halloween with the Jewish festival of Purim, because we both dress up. He's going to send out a tweet saying Happy Purim with a stock image of a pumpkin or something. This coming hot on the heels of the Labour Party wishing Jews a happy Pesach with a stock image cartoon of bread, which we're not supposed to eat. Oh, Jeremy Corbyn. I'm betting £500.
I don't know which one I really don't know. They happen every day. I don't know why it could be. Being a complete idiot, and I'll put £100 on that.
Don't know what he could do that he hasn't already done. He wrote an article in a magazine sponsored by Al Qaeda.
Number 4, I'm going to go with Corbyn saying something Islamophobic for 500.
The Corbyn mess up. I've put not condemning a new IRA attack. I don't know, they've been in the news recently. Figured they're going to gain some ground. Stuck £500 on that, long shot.
I'm going to go with he hasn't made one, because he's about to become Prime Minister. 50 pence.
Corbyn made some nasty anti-Semitic offences again. £1,000 on it, yeah.
Question number 5. What is Chris Grayling's latest screw-up? Of course, within this question I'm assuming that Chris Grayling still hasn't resigned. I think he's just been sued by several train operators because they're being fined for running non-disability compliant trains. Since a worryingly large part of the UK train fleet is still non-compliant with the new rules coming into force at the end of this year. And on that, I'm placing £1,000.
Paying £1 million to a plane company that doesn't know how to build a plane. I think that's one, and I'll put £200 on that.
Honestly, he's that travel dude. I think David's the only one that really cares about him, but something about trains, he's crashed one.
Number 5. Okay, so there are climate strikers that are sitting on tram tracks to raise awareness for climate change. And I think Grayling is going to say something about them like, oh, they're just being nuisances and they're not actually doing anything. And then he's going to get backlash for it.
Grayling went down Brexit again, putting a border fee on the Eurostar. So you have to pay to get into England or whatever if you're from the European Union. I think he's going to try pull something like that to make a bit more money. Put £500 on that.
I'm going to hope and guess that he's out of a job by then. So his latest screw up is that he's put the roof on his garden shed backwards. Go for £1.
Chris Grayling's latest screw up, will he be still there? I'm not quite sure. But if he's still there, probably he fucks up whatever is left for him to fuck up. Like, let's say, the planes are not flying to Europe or from Europe. Another 1,000 on it.
Question number 6. What is Trump's latest tweet about? I'm predicting that there's going to be some sort of natural disaster or mass shooting or something which someone else is going to criticise Trump for, and Trump is going to complain that something similar happened under Obama, but Obama wasn't criticised and he's being criticised. Something like that, for £500.
Trump's latest tweet is how he won the election again. And I'll put £2,000 on that.
Bananas.
For number 6, Trump's latest tweet, probably saying about how he's in cahoots with Russia and how they're best friends now. 500 on Trump.
The Trump tweet, this is where I think I've got a good one. I've put environment deal. I think he's going to try and make a deal with the rest of the countries as to how much money how much money goes into the environment. He's going to try and make it so he doesn't have to pay as much money, essentially. Or something like that. Or other people have to pay more money if he's going to put in any more money in. Some deal involving the environment. Put 2,250 on that, strange number. It's just so I could stick 250 on the rest.
I'm going to go with something about Indonesia. I'll go for a couple of £2.
Donald Trump's latest offensive tweet is, I think, will be commenting on Brexit. £1,000.
Question 7. What company, shop, airline, etc. has just gone bankrupt? I'm placing £500 on Hungarian low-cost airline Wizz Air.
It'll be Samsung, due to how much their new technological advancements are failing. Samsung, and I'll put £500 on that.
W.H. Smith.
Number 7, I think that plastic straw companies are going to go bankrupt. I think they've had a massive crusade going against them, so 2,000 on that.
Flybe is the easy answer. But I'll go for a big one. Norwegian. I'll go with £5,000.
I think it's the UK government, and I have £1,000 for it.
Question 8. What unnecessary product/invention is in the news? I'm going to guess that it's something Elon Musk has come up with, and I'm going to guess that he's replaced the wheels on a car with something else, which would be entirely impractical and expensive, and on that I'm placing £500.
Definitely going to be the Apple Fold. Also could be called the iPhone F. Yeah, and I'll place £200 on that.
Brexit.
Number 8, probably some makeup product is going to be all over the media. Recently we've had baking, and I don't even know what that is, so yeah, 500 on that.
Which other product? I put an Everpen, so a pen that never runs out. I mean, it's not useless, but alright, it's a pen. You can always buy a new one. It's not the most important thing in the world. So 250 quid on that.
I'm going to go with self-cleaning glasses. Put a couple of £1,000 on that.
The flying saucer, obviously driverless flying saucer, £1,000.
Question 9. What is the latest bizarre cause of train or tram delays in Manchester? I'm placing £250 of the track being flooded by some non-water liquid, like oil or lemonade.
Latest cause of delay in Manchester is building work of the new comfortable waiting rooms on platform 13 and 14 that are very warm, stylish, and have comfortable padded seats. I'll place £500 on that.
Brexit.
Number 9, probably repair works on the tracks for 500.
The Met delays. This one is very, very likely to happen. I put Metman versus the Fair Evaders for real. So it's going to be some cosplay of Metman versus the Fair Evaders, and it's going to go on the tram track, and if anything that goes on the tram track causes delays. 250 quid on that.
I'm going to go with students sitting on the tracks for some reason. I'll go for 1,000.
The latest bizarre cause of tram delays in Manchester is probably that the whole population will be rising against the government. They will go on general strike. Nobody goes to school or work or anywhere for that matter. Anyway, shops are empty, so whatever. £1,000.
And finally, question 10. What is the latest internet challenge? I'm going to place my last £250 on the glue stick or blue tack or sellotape challenge, something like that. Don't know what that would be, but...
The craziest new internet challenge. Swallow a GoPro challenge. You swallow the GoPro, film your insides, crap it out, and then you say to the internet who you want to see do it next. And I'll put my remaining 1,500 on that.
The Theresa May dance.
And finally, number 10. Well, we've had destroying makeup, so I think we're going to move on to destroying designer items of clothing because rich people suck and love to show how much money they can just throw down the drain. So, yeah.
The internet challenge, I thought I looked around me mainly, found a pair of flip-flops. So I said the challenge is going to be the flip-flop challenge, where you have to throw a flip-flop, land another one on top of it, put 250 quid on that, because it could be absolutely anything, because the internet is a strange old place.
And what is the craziest new internet challenge? I'm going to say it's getting people to answer questions about what's going to happen in 6 months' time.
The craziest new internet challenge will be who can keep talking the longest without even mentioning the B word. B word being Brexit. £1,000.
Game on. So anyway, since the last episode of the David Frankal Show, I made the horrible mistake of going with my brother to go and watch a Chelsea game away, and I must say I did slightly fear for my life. On the plus side, I did finally get to ride the entire Chat Moss route from Manchester to Liverpool. And I finally got to ride the Merseyrail. Then a couple of weeks ago, I had a bit of an incident with Northern. I was taking the train to school. I was buying my ticket at Heald Green before my journey, but on that particular day I had some problems with my card. At that point the train was in the platform, so I told the guard, oh, I've got a problem with the card, can I pay on board? He said fine. Got on board. He couldn't sell me a ticket for some reason. So as is standard procedure for this sort of situation, I got off at Piccadilly and went to the dedicated help desk to go and pay for my ticket. And instead I got slapped with a £20 penalty fare. Despite the fact that I had very clearly and deliberately gone out of my way to buy a ticket when I would otherwise have simply left by another exit. Thankfully, the appeals company who deal with these cases saw the blindingly obvious fact that I was not in the wrong and ordered them to refund the fare. On the 23rd of March, I went down to London to join over 1 million people on the march to demand a people's vote. Or if you're watching in Brexiteese, I joined over 31 whinging Ramonas in the streets of London, demanding a rerun of the vote until we get our way. About a week earlier, on the 15th of March, I joined a second school strike for climate in Manchester, where I was faced with a little bit of a moral dilemma when the protesters decided to block the Metrolink tracks. Now, as somebody who obviously cares very much about climate change and raising attention to the often ignored issue, I'm also somebody who cares about the trams and thinks that it's counterproductive to block an eco-friendly mode of transport, so I was faced with a bit of a moral conundrum at that point. Obviously faced a very similar conundrum about a month later when Extinction Rebellion protests blocked the DLR and the London Underground. Anyway, since the last episode I went to London twice, not including the Remain March, both times to see my dad who'd flown over in from Oman. Most recent time also for Passover, where we had Seder with our cousins. On our way back on the most recent trip, we decided to spend a couple of days in Nottingham, where I'd never been before, where we of course went to see the trams. Our visit coincided with the tail end of the Extinction Rebellion protests in London, and so I decided to go along on Sunday to go and hear Greta Thunberg address the crowds at Marble Arch.
It's an honor for me to be here with you today. Together we are making a difference. I come from Sweden, and back there is almost the same problem as here, as everywhere, that nothing is being done to stop the climate and ecological crisis, despite all the beautiful words and promises. And we are now facing an existential crisis, a climate crisis, an ecological crisis, which have never been treated as crises before. They have been ignored for decades. And for way too long, the politicians and the people in power have gotten away with not doing anything at all to fight the climate crisis and the ecological crisis. But we will make sure that they will not get away with it any longer.
It was, I think, a historic moment that had I not been there, I would probably spend the rest of my life kicking myself for it. Whilst visiting London, Greta Thunberg also addressed UK Parliament and had a meeting with several key political leaders, except for Theresa May, who apparently was too busy to care about the future of the planet on which we reside. Maybe she was doing a fun run or something. Oh, and a very quick shout out to everybody who was so offended by Greta Thunberg's very existence on Twitter. Thank you for openly revealing to the world what utter, rotten, hypocritical, ignorant and uncaring bastards you all are. I could go on, but you know, it's been a crazy few months and I should probably wrap up this video and get back to studying for my A-levels, which start in less than 1 month. Gulp. The next episode of the David Frankal Show will probably be when all the exams are over, in mid-June. In the meantime, I might upload 1 or 2 other videos, but I'm not promising very much. I'm now aiming to get both Secrets of the Metrolink parts out by the end of June. I know this is kind of turning into my own little Berlin-Brandenburg airport at this point, or, you know, Marmaray, or Crossrail, or Brexit. Fuck knows, I'm past caring, it's like the living dead in here. Oh, and one last thing, there's just 2 weeks left to sign the online petition to build platforms 15 and 16 at Manchester Piccadilly, so if you haven't already, please go sign the petition, the link is in the description below. It's now obligatory that I have to mention this at least once in every video. Shout out of the week, well, shout out of the episode, more like, goes to Liam's Railway Photography. We did a video swap recently, I sent him a video from Manchester Piccadilly and he sent me one from Orpington. Give him a sub. This week's Train Spot of the Week is filmed out of a train window heading south from Crewe. There we see an array of interesting trains, a London Overground Class 710, Crossrail Class 345, Transport for Wales Mark II carriage set, and a Transpennine Express Nova 2/Class 397 unit. And if you look very carefully, you can also see the Pretendolino hiding in the background. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.